Hello, my name is Hans George Campbell. Welcome to part 2 of this video. Today we're going to take a look at the smaller of the two beige tower PCs to see what's inside. Alright, the first thing I like to do is to get rid of all these damn cables, get them out of the way, and then I'll start removing the boards and the drives, and I'll remove the motherboard off camera, of course, remove the power supply, and we'll take a look at everything. Yeah, so let's do that. So let's go ahead. This is for the fan. This right here, that's for the fan. I usually like to unplug all this stuff. Yeah, let's unplug all this. Yep, unplug all of that. That's for, I think, the speaker. Okay. And then, alright. This appears to be 50-pin SCSI. Yeah, that's a SCSI cable there. And this appears to be a quantum SCSI hard drive. Yeah, it's quantum. I wonder what size that is. I wonder if I can use that in my Amiga computer. Yeah, that'd be kind of nice if I can do that. I think this tape drive here is also SCSI. This tape drive also SCSI. Definitely going to be recapping this power supply. Yeah, definitely going to be recapping this power supply because this power supply has this type of a connector on it where you have your 4 black wires in the center. So yeah, these these power supplies are getting hard to find now. So yeah, let's remove that cable. Yeah, that's a standard 50-pin SCSI cable. Could never have enough of those. Okay, this is the hard drive, I think, activity LED. So let's unplug that. Got all the wires unplugged for the motherboard. Okay. Let's get the power supply cable unplugged. Okay. So now the power supply is, I guess, ready to come out. I don't know though. It's got, okay, okay, I'll put this here for the time being. Yeah, just put it like that. Okay, so the switch, this should have been grounded. Yeah. So in order to pull the power supply out, I'd have to actually unscrew the switch. There's 2 screws or 2 bolts that hold it in place. That's okay though. I might just, well yeah, I'd have to open it up to blow her out really good and clean the fan really good. Check to see if any of the capacitors need to be changed out, you know. Alright. So let's start removing these boards, shall we? We'll start with this one. Work our way back, I guess. You know, I don't need a full size or sure for that. I'll be right back. I have to get my low torque number 2 screwdriver. So I'll be right back. Okay, whenever you're working with fine thread screws like this, you do not want to use a full-size number 2 Phillips screwdriver. It's just too heavy. It's got way too much torque. You actually want to use a screwdriver just like this one. This is the proper screwdriver for this job. And I'll show you why in a moment. Let's get one of these screws out and I'll show you. These screws are very fine thread and they can be easily stripped if you use a full-size number 2 screwdriver. Okay, you can also, a lot of your cases are made out of aluminum. You can easily strip the aluminum threads. So you don't want to go with, you don't want to use a full-size number 2 like this. And if you have one of those screwdrivers where it has the handle and you have the different tips that plug in, you need to pause this video right now and throw that crap into the garbage. That's right, you heard me right. You want to invest in a good set of screwdrivers. Do not be cheap, do not be stupid. Okay? Invest in a good set of screwdrivers. I think it'd be better to take the large card out first. Then it'll make it easier to remove the smaller, the shorter card. So, let's do that. Okay, wow, what kind of card is it? Oh, is this a SCSI? Oh, yeah, that's SCSI. Oh, wow, look at that. What the hell is that? Is that oh, that's a fuse. Wow, that's interesting. It's really interesting the way that's made. Anyway, we'll take a closer look at these boards after I remove, remove the computer from off the desk. We'll take a closer look at these boards. So, where am I going to put these boards? I guess I can put them right here. Okay, so let's pull this board out. We'll take a look at it, like I said, after I remove the board from the computer off the desk. Okay. The fuck is that? Oh, it's Ethernet. Huh. It's an old Ethernet. Oh, okay. I think it's safe to assume that this CR2032 battery is now dead and needs to be replaced. But I'm glad it's not a Varta battery. A lot of these vintage 386 and 486 motherboards have been damaged and destroyed by Varta batteries, barrel batteries. So I'm so happy that this one has that kind of a battery that doesn't really leak. They can leak under certain conditions and depending how long you leave it in the board, but they usually don't. Okay, so we'll take a closer look at these boards in a moment. Okay, so you got the 4 boards out. That's weird. The other computer had 4 boards in it too. Alright, and we'll take a closer look at the motherboard once I'm going to remove it off camera out of the case. I'll take the computer off the workbench and set the motherboard on the workbench, and I'll zoom in and I'll talk a little bit about this motherboard. So, okay. Huh, they only put 1 bolt into the hard drive. Yeah, they only put 1 bolt into the hard drive. That's weird. Okay, so I got 1 bolt, so yeah, let's pull that bitch out. Yeah, this is SCSI. It appears to be a 1.2 gigabyte, which is actually perfect for a 486 because in general you don't want to go past 504 megabytes for a 486. But some motherboards, it also depends on the controller that you're using, you can go up to 8 gigabytes. Personally, I wouldn't go past 2 gigabytes, or like the Amiga's limit, which is 4 gigabytes. Yeah, and this is from the same time period, or close to it. But yeah, the maximum I think is 8 gigabytes. And that really depends on the controller too. But yeah, there is the hard drive, a 1.2 gigabyte quantum hard drive. These are pretty good hard drives. This one I'll say for my Amiga computer. These are really good for the Amiga. I'm going to put a compact flash card solution in this. IDE to compact flash solution. That's what I'm going to put in this. And I'll show you guys, you know, when I install it. But, yeah. Quantum hard drive. Appears to be a pretty nice hard drive. I've used these before with my Amiga and my Atari ST computers, but for the Atari ST, it's actually a little bit too big. Because I think the maximum partitions that you can use for an Atari ST computer, I believe, is like only like 30 megabytes per partition. So, yeah. Imagine how many 30 megabyte partitions you could put on a 1.2 gigabyte hard drive. And that's the reason why on the Atari ST you often see, you know, 30 megabyte, 40 megabyte, 50, 60 megabyte hard drives. We usually don't go beyond 60. Okay, so we got that hard drive out. Makes things a little bit more easy. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do next, I'm going to pull this tape drive out. I'll do that off camera. And I'll pull the motherboard out, do that off camera, and we'll take a look at those when I come back. Alright, this here is the tape drive that I took out. I don't use tape drives, but this is a SCSI tape drive. I don't know how large the tapes are. We'll take a look at the tape in a moment, because I do have the tape that was inside the drive. And there's the back of the drive. I don't know how well you can see any of that or read any of that. Okay, right there it shows like the jumper settings. And there's the bottom of the drive. Apparently it's a Hewlett-Packard, or made by Hewlett-Packard. Okay, I'm just showing this classic tape drive for those of you that have never seen a tape drive. Well, this is basically what they look like. So, yeah. And then this is the tape right here, one of the tapes that go inside, you know, that drive. That's what they look like, you know. That's an old tape drive, or tape to a tape drive. Alright, now let's take a look at the boards that came out of that computer. We have what appears to be, now I haven't blown out the dust on these boards, but we have a really nice Orchard, what is it, Fahrenheit 1280 graphics card. I mean, just look at that video memory. I mean, oh my God, man. This appears to be a really nice graphics card. Look at that. Orchard Technology, 1991, Fahrenheit 1280. Just look at that. I know this is a nice graphics card. For being an ISA, 16-bit ISA card, this is really nice. Yeah, I'm just going to blow out the dust, reseat the socket of the chips, including that one, and clean the fingers with 99% alcohol on the cotton makeup pad. And I'll go online and see if I can get some information on this board, mainly to know how to set these jumpers here. Standard VGA connector for your CRT monitor. But yeah, this is a really sweet graphics card. I mean, just look at that. This would have been a high-end graphics card for the 486 time period. It really would be. This is a high-end graphics card. Yeah, just look how beautiful that card is. And I haven't even cleaned it yet. I haven't blown out the dust or anything. Oh yeah, this is a sweet card. This would be, I'm going to be plugging this back into that 486 motherboard. It's got your expansion option right there. Yeah, it's a pretty nice card. Very nice. I like it. Alright, next up, we have this, appears to be a serial parallel board. It's nice to have these on a separate board. I don't like a 6-pack or all-in-one. I don't like that. I prefer to have everything on separate boards because I may not use a printer. In fact, I won't be ever use a printer on that. And the mouse, that's got a, I think, is that PS2? I think it has, oh no, it does. Okay, so you have to use this 9-pin serial for a serial mouse in case I want to use the Gem desktop with this. So yeah, I'd probably plug this board back in to be able to use 9-pin serial mice, you know, or a mouse, which I do have. So yeah, that's that board there. Basically a parallel port, serial port, I/O board is what this is. And there's the back, in case you want to read the labels. Okay, so those two boards go back into the system. Yeah. All right, next up, we have a SCSI controller. This right here, it's a SCSI controller, but it also looks like it has disk drive on this side, SCSI on this side, and of course you've got your standard 50-pin, well it's a SCSI one interface on the rear. So 16-bit ISA. It's interesting the way they got that fuse. That's a very interesting looking fuse. I've never seen one like that. Look at that. I think that's a fuse. Yeah. Pretty cool the way that's made. But yeah. Now, I'm not going to use this board, and I'm going to get a dedicated, it's a board that has IDE connector and a floppy connector on one board. It's a lot smaller than this, uses less power, so it doesn't tax the power supply as much. That's what I'm going to install in that 486. Because I'm just going to have the disk drives, both a 3.5-inch and a 5.25-inch drive. You really want both drives for a 486. because during that time period, software came both on 5¼ inch discs and 3½ inch discs. So it's nice to have both drives. And then I'm going to use, like I said, an IDE to compact flash solution, which you can pick up on eBay for like around 50–60 bucks, you know. So yeah, that's what I'm going to use. But I'll hang on to this board because it is SCSI and floppy, so that's a nice board to have. I'll hang on to it, and it has external SCSI there for SCSI towers, which I do have. So yeah, I'll hang on to this board. I'll blow out the dust, clean the card edge connectors, and reseat the seats, or chips I should say, reseat the chips, and then put this in an anti-static bag and put it away. Yeah. The last board is an older style network card. This is real old. This is an old network card here. Just look at the way it's made, you know. Just look at the way it's made. See, it's got those kind of connectors on it. Wow, look at that. That's real old school there. Yeah. Look at that. I think that's a relay. That right there. It's a relay. But yeah, that's real old school. Probably will not be hanging on to this board. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Now for the main event, what you guys have been waiting for. We're going to take a look at that beautiful Socket 3 motherboard. That's coming up next. All right. Here is a very desirable motherboard for those of you that love to play the old DOS games. This is a slot 3 motherboard, and the reason why it's called that is because it has a slot 3 zero insertion force socket there. Normally you would put a 486 processor in there, but this board, I got lucky. It's got an Intel OverDrive 486DX-33 chip installed. That's very nice. Very nice. This is a perfect motherboard for DOS 6.22 and the DOS games from this time period. I'm not sure how much memory this has. It appears to be 72-pin SIMs with a really nice metal clips instead of those cheap plastic ones. I hate those cheap plastic ones. So that's the memory. I'm not sure how much is installed until I hook up the motherboard, hook this motherboard up and turn on and see what the memory is. This is your cache RAM right here. It's either going to be 256K or 512K. I am leaning more toward 256K because this is an early Socket 3 motherboard. The later Socket 3 motherboards that had 512 megabytes of cache memory, or excuse me, 512K of cache memory, 512K of cache memory, included PCI slots, and it had an onboard chipset because it also has IDE and floppy. I'd love to get a hold of one of those 486 motherboards. Those are very nice. They're very nice. But that's getting toward the end of the 46 time period and closer to the Pentium time period. But this is still a nice board. It's a great board for DOS. I'm so happy that I got it. This looks like an award bias. But let me make sure. I think it's an award bias. Let me make sure, people. I don't want to tell you wrong. Yeah, an award bias. 486DX award software. Copyright 1984 to, well, it's 5.12. And it's got the other year covered up, so I don't know. But appears to have a brand new bias. I'll reseat that chip when I reseat the chips on the board. But this bias, I think they had to upgrade this bias for this Intel OverDrive chip. Yeah. Yeah, so this appears to be a really nice motherboard. I don't know who made it though. VIA chipset. Okay, but I don't know who made it. Right here it says, I mean, you can put like a socket here. It says 8042. I don't know what that's all about. Yeah. Yeah. Well, another nice thing about this board, because it's only got the 5-pin DIN keyboard connector like that, okay? You could put this motherboard into one of the original IBM PC or PCXE, PCAT cases, right? And you can have like a wolf in sheep's clothing. See? Imagine you're at a computer show and you've got your classy IBM PC set up, right? And it's running Doom at, 60 frames per second or whatever, right? And people are wondering, how in the hell is he running Doom on that old PC right there? They don't realize that you installed a 486 motherboard into that PC case, the IBM PC case. So yeah, that's another thing you can do with these old 486 motherboards. Anyway, that's it for part 2 of this video. I've got a lot of exciting content coming up. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Anyway, that's it for this video. My name is Hans George Campbell, and until next time.